Welcome, everybody. I want to thank the press at California State University, Fresno, Dan and Peggy Dunkley from a book barn, and Spectrum Art Gallery for hosting this event tonight, as well as all of you for making the effort to attend. I'd like to begin with an ancient Maya creation story. In the process of creating the earth with plants and animals that could not speak to them, the old gods wanted to create beings who could worship and speak. Their first attempt was out of mud, but they had no soul, were not good keepers of the day, and were washed away in a flood. Next, they tried wood, but these beings had no minds or memories of their creation and could not praise, so they were destroyed. Those that survived were said to have become the monkeys. Finally, out of corn paste, they formed human beings who seemed perfect, were sturdy enough to last, and were rich with thoughts and feelings. They could worship and they thanked their makers. When these new beings were asked what they could see, they said they could see and understand everything. The gods then said they should not see as well as we do, and removed some of their vision. So from then on, they could only see things close to them. This story brings to mind one of the challenging conditions of human nature that I'm subject to, and that's short-sightedness. Being a flawed individual with short-sightedness has too often informed unwise decisions. I've been compelled to work towards self-growth and try not to repeat mistakes of the past. Through modest attempts at critical observation, receptivity to the world around me, and listening to the wise words of others, I've strived to do better as a human being, as an artist, and as an instructor. Teaching and encouraging photographers throughout the years for me was always symbiotic, a give and take process. In attempting to bring something of value to the wonderful students who shared their own vision and energy, I continually tried to stay a step ahead. My resources were most often the products of constant curiosity and ongoing research. 3 aspects of my teaching career finally came to a close within a relatively short period of time. The UC Extension photography program, through which I taught field workshops for 27 years, was discontinued. The Ansel Adams Gallery annual Yosemite large format workshop, where I assisted each summer, ended. Finally came my retirement from full-time teaching in the Fresno City College photography department. After retirement, I hope to develop further my creative work with the camera and related processes. But not surprisingly, I found that life's other joys and challenges kept me busier than ever. Always inspiring and supportive, my wife Sally Stallings and I thought it might finally be time to compile a book to make use of the overflowing shelves of prints, film, and files. A couple of years after putting together an unpublished blurb book to use as a model, Tim Hill happened to explore my website and thought my work merited a published book. After retiring from editing and publishing careers with the New York Graphic Society and Aperture magazine, he currently does consulting for his own art book press. He wanted to see what I'd produced so far, so I sent a copy of my blurb experiment, which was a simple, small monograph with each image laid out opposite a related quote from great thinkers throughout history. After some comments, Tim mentioned that this format might lack marketability. So he asked if I had any other articles or writings that might be of interest to the public. I sent him my article that appeared in Lens Work in 2006, and also Scrambled Eggs, Space and Time, a lecture I gave at the Fresno Art Museum, linked to my solo exhibition there. Pleased with my writing, Mr. Hill told me that I only needed to add about 15,000 more words. Fortunately, I had done interviews with Hillary Austin, who's here tonight, for her insightful book, Artistry Unleashed, A Guide to Pursuing Performance in Work and Life. With the initial guidance of Melinda Downing, who's here tonight, followed by the graphic design vision of Michael Parola and the InDesign expertise of Patty Calvert, the manuscript evolved into this finished monograph / educational memoir. At the suggestion of my son Ronald, who's here tonight with his family, whose outstanding book of poetry, Rough Fire, was released just last year, Trail of Stones ended up in the title. It contains 3 levels of symbolism for me, which I figured out later. I usually follow gut feelings first, and then I sort the consciousness out. So first, stones represent longevity, solidity, and the attempts to produce something that lasts. Something more certain amongst so much uncertainty. Second, it implies a challenging or rough road. The ways to cross obstacles, like a rough road, could be stepping stones. And so stepping stones is the third symbolic aspect of the title. So across, like stepping stones across a stream, or path guidance, as in that photograph right there, the one under the title. And it represents that stepping stones represent uplifting influences in my life, solid advice that others have given me and help they've given me along the way, providing ways to move above and forward through those obstacles. My motivation in completing this final format was kindly spurred on by Sally and Tim, and I had a growing sense of urgency to pay forward these valuable experiences and lessons that had informed my creative life. Starting in 2017, I experienced lapses of memory called transient global amnesia. In the process of diagnostic testing, an unrelated aneurysm was discovered in my brain and subsequently surgically repaired. However, they took out both lobes. Obviously, this lit a fire under me as well. After prior years of occasional unsuccessful attempts to find a publisher, Associate Dean of Arts and Humanities at CSUF, Dr. Nora Chapman, believed in the project, and the pathway appeared through the press at California State University, Fresno. I hope that it serves as a record of gratitude for my teachers and my students, those I've mentioned in the book, especially my wife and children, grandchildren, parents, Lucille and Barton. And again, I want to thank you all for attending this evening. And if you have any questions, don't be bashful. I'm right here for a moment.
Thank you.
I want to say, Steve, you were one of my teachers, and I appreciate your profound teaching ability and your philosophy. It's always been very, very good. Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions or comments? The samples from the book are on the walls, with the exception of three new pieces. I didn't want to be here with all older stuff, so I had to put out some. Pardon?
Higher order arrangements?
I couldn't
Are
hear.
they in a sequence, or are they?
No, they're actually broken up a little bit by they were arranged more by visuals. I mean, there are conceptual threads that are within, but visuals end up informing the layout of the pictures. So, any other questions or comments?
When's the next book?
It won't be for a while.
We'll just enjoy this.
Yeah,
then I did have one other question. How did you decide, because I know you have a lot of pictures, how did you decide what to put in and what to leave out?
Thanks. So for those of you who couldn't hear it, the question was, how did we decide what would be in the book, the pictures that were in the book? The editor, Tim Hill, really had suggestions about what worked. And we based it on the initial blurb book that we designed in the early stages. And there are many pictures that didn't make it in the book that I would like to see and would have liked to have seen on the pages, but I had to come to agreement with the editor, and so that sort of informed the selection.
So that's volume 2.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and if you have any further questions, just chat with me, and I'll be here all evening, so at least till 9 o'clock. In the process of creating the earth with plants and animals that could not speak to them, the old gods wanted to create beings who could worship and speak. Their first attempt was out of mud, but they had no soul, were not good keepers of the day, and were washed away in a flood. Next, they tried wood, but these beings had no minds or memories of their creation and could not praise, so they were destroyed. Those that survived were said to have become the monkeys. Finally, out of corn paste, they formed human beings who seemed perfect, were sturdy enough to last, and were rich with thoughts and feelings. They could worship and they thanked their makers. When these new beings were asked what they could see, they said they could see and understand everything. The gods then said they should not see as well as we do, and removed some of their vision. So from then on, they could only see things close to them.